Trying to get around Ontario these days is apparently such a tough nut to crack. The current provincial government actually has two ministers of transportation. Whether it's subways, LRTs, highways, roads, or rail service, there's a lot going on. Let's see if Ontario is on the right track with Stan Cho. He is the Associate Minister of Transportation and the PC member for Willowdale, and we are delighted to welcome you to TVO.
Thank you so much for having me.
First visit to this show, I think.
First ever. Very happy to be here.
Good to have you here. I've never seen this before, where you have two ministers of transportation in the same cabinet. Premier Doug Ford has had that since he was sworn in 2018. How come? Why do we need two?
Well, Steve, we've never had this much transit being built before. I mean, this is a country that's seeing hundreds of thousands of people move every single year. We have a transit deficit to begin with. That means the largest transit expansion plan is underway. There's a lot of work to be done. That's outside of just modernizing fares and connecting the grid and cross-boundary service, all sorts of things going on. We definitely need those two ministers.
Caroline Mulroney's the other one.
Yes.
And, how does it work? Do you guys divvy up files, or how does it work?
Yeah, there are different files for Minister Mulroney and myself. I'm very much focused on the transit end of things, modernizing Presto and fare service integration and Northlander passenger rail. And Minister Mulroney has got a lot on her plate with the transportation network and all of the other work to keep our province moving.
Okay, since you mentioned fare integration, let's dive into that, and we'll start there. We do have a bit of an unusual situation in the Greater Toronto Area, whereby you can get on a train, a GO train, from one of the suburbs and come to the city, and then maybe you have to hop on the TTC to go somewhere else after that, and you got to pay one fare to go on GO, and you pay a second fare to get onto the TTC, and a lot of people think that doesn't make a lot of sense anymore. Do you think it should be this way?
Absolutely not, Steve. I was that kid who took Leslie 51 trying to visit friends in York Region. Then you got to hop on the GO, fragmented systems. And I think that's what happens when you plan a transit system without expecting the level of growth we've had in the 1950s and 60s. And so what we have today is a climate of fragmented transit agencies with systems that aren't connected to each other through no real fault of their own. But the time is now to have those conversations and take serious steps towards integrating that system, because at the end of the day, nobody cares what color bus you're getting onto. They just want to get from point A to point B.
No, that's right. But you've got Toronto running one system, Peel runs another system, Mississauga runs another system, Halton runs a system, Hamilton runs a system, York's got, they've all got different systems. So is it your job to sort of put everybody in a room and knock their heads together and say, we don't leave until we get a deal here?
Well, it's not quite that dark.
I was kind of hoping it might be, because that sounds kind of dramatic. But
okay. Absolutely, that is what's been happening. Actually, for over 2 years now, Minister Mulroney began that work. Minister Surma continued it on with what's called a Fare Service Integration Table, an FSI table, which brings together all of the transit agencies throughout the GTHA. It was co-chaired by myself and Rick Leary, the CEO of the TTC. And that's precisely the conversations that we were having. What would it take to integrate our transit systems to the point where we could allow for cross-boundary service? And how do we have the important discussions of transit being more affordable? Can we eliminate the local fare? What would it take to actually have that happen? And that included the TTC, and I'm proud to say that that's where we are now, where the province will be fully funding to make transit agencies whole, the ability to transfer from your local transit agency to GO for simply the GO price, and that includes Toronto.
Okay, so tell us how this is going to work, because, of course, the promise of the TTC has always been that whether you're going from Yonge and Bloor to Yonge and Wellesley, which is not very far, or whether you're going from Islington in the west to, let's say Warden in the east, which is very far, it's the same price. Is that going to change?
Well, right now, the TTC makes their own decisions for their fare pricing, but what is going to change, Steve, is imagine this. Let's say you live in Barrie, and you want to visit your friend in Fort York. Now, most people are going to drive that because there's 3 different transit agencies, and you got to deal with traffic, and you got to pay for parking. There's no real other alternative, but now there is. And so you can take your Barrie Transit, connect to the GO line, come to Union Station, take a streetcar out to Fort York, all for your GO fare. Because what our government is doing is making whole the transit agencies in Barrie, so that fare is free when you connect to GO. And now at the end of this year, when you connect to the TTC, your TTC fare will also be fair. So if you think about it, free rather. So if you think about it that way, it's actually a 3-for-1 fare arrangement, which we believe is going to take a lot of cars off the road and provide the option of transit for a lot more people out there.
You got any studies to say how many cars off the road that'll take?
So that is what we're working on that now. What we do know is there's about 1.8 million cars that make that trip into the city, in and out through the GTHA every single day. The whole point of this, Steve, is to raise sort of all tides and increase ridership, because we know most transit agencies are still suffering post-pandemic, and we're trying to increase those numbers, provide additional options while building that historic transit, as I said, the largest expansion in history. Not enough just to get shovels in the ground and build new lines. We need to make transit affordable and incent people to actually take it.
So does that mean you can use your Presto card on any one of these services?
That's correct. And just last year, we also introduced the new option to most of the GTHA where you can tap your credit card. Debit is coming later this year to those transit agencies. And I'm proud to say that the hardware refresh is ongoing for the TTC to have those options available as well.
Okay, that's what I wondered about, because I know I was in New York not too long ago, and I just took my phone, and you can, right? That's how you can get into the New York subway system there, but we've never been able to do that here.
That's right, and I think Asia and Europe had that for decades, and it's better late than never, but I'm proud to say it's coming to Toronto.
Do you know when? Do you know when all this is going to happen?
So it should be at the end of this year for the sort of rest of the debit network for the 905. It's already in place across the GO network and everywhere else in the 905 with your credit card. That includes your Apple Pay, by the way, so your smart device will work on those devices. The TTC currently, through the hardware refresh, we're getting that on board. We expect that to be operational this year as well.
Now, of course, last question on this. The conventional wisdom over the years has always been the TTC is kind of like the big brother of all of these family of systems. And they have been somewhat, I don't know if hostile is the right, well, maybe it is, hostile about, being a part of something with all of these other services, because they are the biggest and most expensive. Are they still feeling that way about all this?
Well, certainly the TTC is the biggest. It is the largest transit agency in our entire country, in fact, and they have some legitimate concerns. What about job protection? What about service cuts? And that's why we've had these discussions for over 2 years now, to make sure, and in a letter to City Council, I encouraged Council and the TTC to have discussions about cross-boundary service, but not at the expense of those two important issues. No service cuts, no job losses. We value the hardworking people of the TTC, and that's why the government of Ontario is stepping in to make sure that we are fully funding the program, so that there are no revenue losses for the largest transit agency out there. That's in addition to all of the Safe Restart funding we provided during a very difficult period.
Last question on this. I lied. Price tag on this, on fare integration, price tag is how much?
So we're working that out now. It's been an evolutionary process from 2 years ago. You could imagine as you're bringing all these autonomous transit agencies on board, there's a lot of moving pieces when it comes to the fiscal impact of a program this large. We'll have those final details at the end of the year. We're step by step. We just wanted to make sure it was very clear in the budget that we are going to be funding this. And I think the fact that it is in our fiscal plan signals that we've sort of have estimates that we are working through with the transit agencies, but it's something that's worth it to raise transit ridership and make it more affordable for the everyday commute.
We have viewers in Northern Ontario, so I'm going to ask you about restoring the Northlander, which you have pledged to do. Where is the current plan at?
Well, I'm really proud of this initiative, Steve, because the great people of the North never should have been cut out of the Northlander passenger rail service. As you know, it was canceled 11 years ago, but our government's bringing it back. And I think the first serious signal that we want to do this the right way is by purchasing 3 brand new train sets from Siemens. I mean, Steve, these are beautiful trains, state-of-the-art, all the amenities you can imagine, meal service, Wi-Fi, much nicer trains than we used to have for the North. The next step is to plan sort of the infrastructure planning, the station work, the engineering around that. But the good news is, because we're piggybacking off a larger order with these train purchases, we expect to receive these trains in the mid-2020s and hopefully have the line operational very shortly after that.
Where are they made?
In California, in the Siemens plant there. As I said, this is off of a VIA plant order. And the challenge there was we wanted to make sure that we got it as quickly as possible with as state-of-the-art technology as we could get.
You know I'm going to ask this question. We got a plant up in Thunder Bay. Used to be Bombardier, now it's Alstom, French, but at least it's in Ontario. How come you didn't go that route?
Very happy and pleased with the work Alstom is doing. They have 9 open contracts with our government currently, and they're very busy. Constant communication with them, and we know that they're going to have a lot of work to do with a $70 billion investment into transit expansion. It wasn't the right fit for this project, Steve. The question was, well, if we go to open market and open procurement, there's a process, perhaps years before we even award the contract. And at that point, then you have the years to construct. It was simply too long to wait for the great people of the North North. I mean, let's remember the Northlander is a vital link to connect Indigenous communities, more remote communities, to critical services like healthcare, to education. You know, I was up in the North and I met a lady who owns the Cochrane Station Inn restaurant, an Indigenous woman who has a great success story. And Steve, if you're ever up in Cochrane, the best bannock you're ever going to taste. She's a talented lady. Candace is her name. But she was telling me how she used to take the Northlander passenger rail, how it meant so much to her family and her path to prosperity. We need to reestablish those links as quickly as possible. It was the prudent thing to do to piggyback off the larger order so that they're going to have that service restored as quickly as possible.
I haven't been to Cochrane in about 5 years, but I wrote Candace's name down, and you can give me her coordinates afterwards.
For sure.
Cost of the 3 new trains?
$139.5 million.
Now, the reason the Liberals canceled this 11 years ago is because they said the business case for keeping this line alive just wasn't there anymore. What do you see that apparently they didn't?
I'll tell you, the first thing I saw in North Bay was tears in the eyes of a lady who came up to me right before the announcement. Now, as a politician, you don't always know how that conversation will go when someone comes up to you teary-eyed, but you know, they were tears of joy because she was on that last train serving meals actually in the car when it was the final sort of journey after it was canceled. This is really meaningful for people up there, and I don't think that people understand how meaningful it is until you go up and you know, you sort of see the impact it had on communities. Look, I'm Toronto born and raised. I love my city, but there's a big province out there. And the people across the north have told me firsthand how important this connection is for them, whether it is to get to school or to get to healthcare or just for their general quality of life. Winters are harsh up there. There should be another option for the north. Now, I'd like to see which transit agency out there is a profit, making machine. I don't know many.
I get you. They all need subsidization for sure, but apparently the Northlander line in the past needed a level of subsidization that the previous government just wasn't prepared to do anymore. Why are you prepared to do it?
This government is saying to the North very clearly that we value you, you're partners in our
But
prosperity.
can you afford this?
And the beauty of this train is, Steve, this is not the old train that we had before. We're looking at opportunities for tourism. Imagine going from Union Station all the way up to James Bay, Hudson's Bay, connecting the third coast, really, of our Arctic coast, our oldest trading area with settlements that go back 400 years or something like that. I think there is a tourism opportunity here. When we look at the population growth in Ontario of hundreds of thousands of people every single year, I'm an optimist. We're working actually currently with the chambers of commerce, the local municipalities up and down the line or the proposed line, and saying, like, what can we do here to generate some tourism dollars to make this line a little bit less of a fiscal impact? But certainly we are confident that ridership will return to the north, and we're going to do our part to make sure it's an attractive mode of travel.
And to confirm, it's not Timmins that the final terminus is, right? All the way to Cochrane.
That's right. There will be a connection to Cochrane, and then, of course, the Polar Bear Express connects from Cochrane all the way up to Moosonee. So you can go from Union Station all the way up to James Bay.
Okay. I want to finally ask you about what I think is the most expensive construction project in the whole country right now, and that is the light rail transit line that is being built about 200 meters north of where you're sitting right now. The Eglinton Crosstown LRT, which was supposed to have been completed last fall, and experts have now said there is, quote, no credible plan to finish it. That was what was announced a few months back. What's the status of this thing right now?
Well, Steve, I share the frustrations of the local residents and businesses.
It goes through your riding, I think, doesn't it?
Well, very close to my riding, certainly.
Anyway.
And my riding in this area, they're transit hubs with, they're very important hubs within the city and beyond. And so I understand that frustration. You know, our government inherited this project. Now, look, it's not enough to just blame other political stripes, and for generations, transit simply didn't get built. And that's not my point here. My point, though, is to say when things aren't done perfectly, and nobody ever does them perfectly, there are lessons to be learned. Now, when it comes to the Eglinton Crosstown, lots of lessons have been learned. I'll give you just one quick example. I mean, there's years of delay in the project. Here's one of the reasons why. Every time you wanted to break ground near a station, or after construction was complete, every time you wanted to get the permit to close and clean up that area, you would have to apply for a new permit, and that would be every single station down the entire line. Now, you can imagine with that many stops how much time that would add to the process of actually getting shovels in the ground or getting this line operational.
Whose rules were those?
What happened. Well, these were the rules sort of through the city. I mean, there were some other legislative hurdles, red tape. This is the very definition of red tape. And so first thing we did was pass the Building Transit Faster Act in 2018 to streamline the process. And I know it doesn't help the businesses that have closed and are suffering now, but it does say when we have 4 priority subway projects being constructed as we speak, we are able to learn from those lessons. And it is already producing results. You know, there's shovels in the ground when it comes to the Ontario line, but the Eglinton West extension is more than halfway dug. It's a month ahead of schedule, and we're confident that we can learn from these frustrations that the people have gone through. The crosstown will be operational. We just need to make sure it's done in a safe way, and I think we're at a very important juncture where some of that work is producing some good results.
So there is a credible plan to finish it as we speak?
There's an absolute credible plan to opening the Eglinton Crosstown. It will be operational.
When?
We just have to make sure that it is safe. That important work is undergoing now, and the answer to that question, Steve, is as soon as it is safe to do so.
Which will, unlikely it will be this year, fair to say?
We're hoping that it's as soon as possible, really hoping.
I know what as soon as possible means, which is a way of not answering the question, but what's the deadline you're looking at right now?
I promise you this, Steve, as soon as I have that firm concrete date, you're the first call I'm going to make and tell you, here it is.
Will not be me, I know that, but anyway, okay. When it was set to open, it was supposed to be, I think, a tad under $6 billion. Do we know what the final price tag is going to be now?
We don't have final numbers, but you know, whether it's the Crosstown, the Ontario line, when we were doing our capital plans 4 years ago, well, it was a different world, right? You know, and I think jurisdictions around the planet have seen supply chain challenges, labor challenges, inflation, but that's why it's important to build sort of prudence into your fiscal planning. And you saw in Minister Bethlenfalvy's budget a couple of weeks back that, you know, we have reestablished the path to balance. In fact, we're 3 years ahead of our schedule to balance the budget. And that's important because that gives us a little bit of that fiscal wiggle room when the unexpected occurs, the save for a rainy day occurs, that we're able to weather those storms.
The provincial organization responsible for implementing these huge projects is called Metrolinx. Do you have confidence in Metrolinx's ability to bring this in?
Absolutely do. This isn't only the largest transit agency in our country. Look, you got to sometimes feel for them. They have to run the day-to-day operations of the largest transit agency in Canada, but they also have been tasked with the largest transit expansion plan in Canadian history. I mean, you're looking at $70+ billion when it comes to transit investments alone. Monumental task. Then throw on top of that modernizing fares with Presto payments. Talk about fare service integration. They have a lot on their plate, is what I'm saying, Steve. And I know that they have a great team over there. I communicate with them regularly. I know the CEO and I, Phil Verster, we have regular conversations, whether it be through text or phone calls or meeting face-to-face to say these are some big priorities. But I know they're up to the task and they'll deliver for us.
But they're in the middle of, I don't know if they're still in the middle of lawsuits, but they were in the middle of lawsuits. Are they still with two of the organizations that are supposed to be building this LRT?
Well, anything that's in front of the courts, I mean, we'd have to leave there. But this expansion plan, as we move forward, they have a lot of conversations, consultations with the communities that are involved. Monumental task, as I said, and we trust our partners to deliver on those outcomes.
This question is based on the conversations I have with people who, you know, because we're here, right? We're right along Eglinton, and I talk to lots of people all the time about this, and one of the things they want to know is, who do you blame for the dog's breakfast that this LRT has become? What's the answer?
Well, I'm an optimist, Stephen. You know, look, different political stripes, you can blame them all you want till you're blue in the face. The point is, it doesn't matter who it was, over decades and decades. This isn't a problem of lacking transit that happened overnight. This is decades of poor planning decisions and simply not getting shovels in the ground from all levels of government at all political stripes. I think we can learn lessons from the mistakes past. The point is now we have the largest transit expansion plan in Canadian history. I think it's time to roll up our sleeves, work together to actually get this thing built, and that's what I'm focused on.
Last question. It does feel, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but it does feel as if it's almost impossible nowadays, for some legitimate and some illegitimate reasons, to bring big infrastructure projects in on time and on budget. Does it feel that way to you too?
I'm, as I said, Steve, a big optimist.
You can be an optimist, but be a realist
but
as well.
I'm also being a realist, and that's where I'm going with that. I think that when you have a project of this size, you know, the infrastructure investments in this province across the transportation network, as well as transit, are over $99 billion. It is by far the most aggressive infrastructure in terms of just transit and transportation planning and investments we have ever seen in this country. And I think that's very meaningful. Now, when you have that much work on your plate and moving at that speed, yeah, there are going to be a lot of conversations had. There's going to be a lot of different entities, agencies, broader public sector, companies involved in that. But I think generally we're heading in the right direction. When you look at the priorities that we're putting into the skilled trades to actually have the people to fill those jobs that we're creating. Getting rid of streaming, it's as simple as that, from the education system to allow more kids to enter the skilled trades. You heard Minister Lecce announce that there will be now a co-op internship opportunity straight out of high school into some of those highly needed jobs of the future. And I think it's working. You remove $8 billion from doing the cost of business here in Ontario every single year, and since 2018, there's been a net gain of 600,000 good-paying jobs in this province. And I think that's what we need to focus on, is that, look, Steve, if I may, my dad and my mom came to this country 50 years ago with little more than the shirts on their back, and they worked 7 days a week tirelessly to try and make ends meet. And they lived that Canadian dream, because when my dad and my mom retired, they employed 200 families throughout the Greater Toronto area. If we want to keep that world-class quality of life, because for those hundreds of thousands of people that are moving here every single year, it's going to take that bold investments into the infrastructure. It's going to take that bold vision to say, you know what was good for us back then 50 years ago has to be good enough, just as good for the people as we move forward. Critical services include getting people connected and going from point A to point B, and that's what we're focused on.
See this phone?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to be sitting by this phone waiting for your call for when the LRT is going to be opening, because I've got you on record here saying I'm your first call.
Can I invite you to the ribbon cutting?
You sure can.
All right, deal.
That's Stan Cho. He's the Associate Minister of Transportation for the province of Ontario and represents Willowdale in the legislature. Minister, thanks for coming into TVO tonight.
Thanks so much for having me, Steve.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.